Welcome to Scoreography, a podcast about the greatest sport on ice, figure skating. I'm Wendy Buskey.
And I'm Adrian Buskey, and this is our World Team Trophy 2025 preview. World Team Trophy is one of my favorite events, I would say, of the year, but it's biannual, so you only get it every other year in the odd-numbered years. It's a pretty unique event compared to most of the rest of the season because it's structured a lot like the Olympic team event, but it is decidedly sillier, less serious, and is kind of a fun capper to the end of the competitive season.
It's really a good time, and what is kind of entertaining to look at this time is because it is the year before an Olympic season. Some folks are taking it a little more seriously than they do on the not pre-Olympic season World Team Trophy years. I'm looking forward to it, and it's a nice resolution to a season. The years we don't have it, I definitely miss it.
I definitely felt the lack of it last year, and I think it's possible that a lot of casual fans never hear about this event because it doesn't tend to get a primetime broadcast, at least in the States. It only happens in Japan. And because it happens after Worlds, there is this sense of the season is done, everything is resolved, and it kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. But there's a lot of really notable reasons why this event is still important. One of which is that there's a lot of money attached to it.
Yeah.
Like a far bigger prize. I think it's like $1 million or something. It's
like spread across everybody. It's not like the winners make $1 million, but
right. The Fed gets money. The different competitors get money. And this is the thing that I think that the sport doesn't talk about a lot is that there is prize money attached to the big events and even small events. And a lot of major competitors, that's how they pay for their training and their travel and their costumes, is that they depend on making money. It's not just about getting medals. It's about putting some money back in your coffers.
Yeah, being able to continue to pay for training.
Yes. And World Team Trophy pays out better than I think probably anything other than maybe Worlds, but I don't know how that shakes out. I just know that the prize money for the team is high. Also, the numbers that they get here, their competitive scores, count.
Yes.
They are part of their international rankings. So while it feels like a funsy kind of silly event, at the same time, the scores they get are part of their international rankings and matter on that front. And this traditionally is a high scoring event. It tends to be a little inflated. It kind of almost feels like nationals numbers. And that's a big deal when you have some of the teams that go here and sometimes lock personal bests that in turn become the international best. Like from 2023's World Team, Chalk and Bates got, I think in both their programs, maybe personal best that rank as the highest scores in ice dance. And they hold, even though they come from a event that isn't as big or includes as many people in it. So even though those numbers might feel a little fake, they still matter.
Wow. I'm learning as we go. And I had forgot about that people were so mad that they got those like best ever ice dance scores. I'd completely forgotten about that.
And you could see somebody like an Amber Glenn go here and get a mid-80s score that she probably wouldn't quite have seen through the rest of the season because it's just kind of the way World Team works. Now, we could be wrong. It could be completely different at this one because certainly we're hearing rumblings that Team Japan is taking this one a little bit more seriously than usual, I think, after having a bit of an underperformance at Worlds. And again, also because we're rolling right into the Olympics and the team event at the Olympics is very important. So this might feel like it matters a little bit more than usual. But the lineup for this is also kind of unusual this year.
Yeah, I mean, it includes some formerly or currently retired skaters from Georgia specifically. But yeah, it's interesting. But for anyone who is not aware, the team format includes the 6 best national teams from ISU members. Each team is comprised of 2 women, 1 pair, 1 ice dance team, and 2 men. It's a very contained competition. And I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I think you are chosen by your delegation I would assume to a certain degree it's an honor to be chosen, unless you're exhausted and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to go to World Team Trophy.
Which has been the case in the past, especially this event's only been going on since like 2009. And I think that early on, it wasn't popular with a lot of the skaters because they were pretty worn out. This season felt like it was done. And then 3 weeks later, there was just another big competition. But I think that the vibe changed to making it a really entertaining affair and a chance to actually just be a team in a way that you usually mostly only feel at the Olympics. I think that's really appealing for some of these delegations. Also just seems like it's kind of a party. Like when we go back to like the 2023 World Team Trophy, it's so extra. It's so like, there's costumes, there's
props,
inflatables, there's printed stands of photos of people. And there's also a lot of just interplay between the various nations. It's fun to see them sat in their teams in the stands because the teams are always out and cheering each other on when they're not actively competing. And then they're in the kiss and cry together as a group, which leads to like sometimes full on theatrics. We've seen dance numbers, we've seen choreography.
Do you remember Team Korea last time had all of these Seong Lee cardboard cutouts where because he always jumps with his arms over his head. So they would all like be in the kiss and cry with their arms over their head, but they were like cardboard cutouts.
It was super cute. Notably, Korea is not in this event this year. They came in silver at the last World Team Trophy, which was a big surprise.
Were they silver or bronze? No, they were silver. You're right. Jeez.
Yeah, because they took out Japan at that one.
Oh, that's right. No wonder Japan is so hungry this time.
Yes. And that was also notably the senior debut of Han Lim and Ye Kwan.
Yep.
And they made their mark immediately by making a much stronger showing from Team Korea at that event. They also just had a really good team in general, but they do not have a pairs team to field right now. Now, we have heard from people in the comments that there does seem to be a new Korean pairs team in the making right now. So it's possible they'll be able to field somebody for the Olympics. But I think that the man in that pair is not natively Korean and may not have citizenship. So I don't know how that will work out. I haven't had a chance to research that yet. But however that'll shake out later, they didn't have somebody for this one. So I think that's why we have Georgia in this event. But they did have to call up a couple of people from retirement to fill out their ranks because they often have like one competitive skater in any discipline. So it's definitely a quirky one.
In terms of the qualifying for this event, just to be clear on the teams, I am not going to get into the specifics, but it does all involve the scoring scale used from the ISU World Standings points. Since I don't know that we got it totally right for the Olympic team event in our last episode, I am not going to brave it on explaining it here. There's other places that will explain it better.
Yeah, a brave listener gave us a long comment trying to explain how the Olympic qualification works for the team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we still have to dig deeper into that, but man, it is so convoluted. And like so many things in this sport, it could really use an overhaul to simplify things and make them more understandable. But this event, I think, operates a little differently. But yeah, we're not going to get into the weeds on all of that.
No, but what I do love about this event is that every team has a captain. And that's the same as the Olympics. But here, I feel like it's who's the team hype man or woman. I love that Kaori Sakamoto, for example, is the team captain for Japan. And there is no bigger cheerleader, I would dare say, in Japan as a whole than Kaori Sakamoto. And I'm so excited just to see the hype she brings to him.
So here in the States, I think the easiest way to watch this is on Peacock. As I understand it, I don't think it's going to be played in real time because it is happening in Japan. So it'll probably be essentially overnight for us here who are in the US and then, the Western Hemisphere. But all of the events, including the gala, are slated to appear there. I'm sure the ISU will be streaming it as well. But it is, at least here in the US, I don't think it will show up on any of the regular broadcasts, any of the NBC Universal stations,
just
as far
Peacock,
as I know.
Yeah. And then if you have a VPN, you go to the YouTube channel for ISU and you can watch it there as well. But you can't do that natively in the US.
Something actually that just occurred to me too is that I think the best comparison for World Team Trophy to a lot of other popular sports is that this is figure skating's all-star game.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have the divisions in this, like say an American League versus National League, like you would have in say baseball or something like that. But this is definitely where you just kind of bring a group of them together and the stakes are lower, but there's also clout and there's money and there is fun. And it's just the vibe of it is very different.
Yeah. Let's start talking about each of the teams. So home team advantage obviously goes to Japan since this is happening in Tokyo. And to your point about it being the all-star game, like I said, Kaori Sakamoto is your team captain, but you have Yuma Kageyama, Shun Sato, Monachiba, newly crowned two-time world champions Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara, and Utani Yoshida and Masaya Morita are pulled in to be the ice dance team, even though they're still a little bit more new. They get to hang out with all the all-stars and show off their skills. And I think this is a great team, so I'm excited to see them here.
You have your 3-time world champion and Olympic medalist and now world silver medalist in Kaori Sakamoto as your team captain. She alone is like the wrecking ball.
The all-star.
Yes, of this team. But Yuma is an Olympian with multiple world medals. Shinsato came on so strong this season. Monachiba has a bronze medal at Worlds this year. So this is a very, very strong team.
Yes.
And yeah, Yoshida and Morita are a much more junior team being pulled into this. And a lot of that is just that the previous marquee Japanese ice dance team of Komatsubara and Koleto retired last season. So they really only have 2 fairly junior level ice dance teams.
Yeah, even though they are senior competitors, they're fresh out of juniors.
Fresh out of juniors. And they're both very promising teams, but they are kind of the lesser tier of this team overall. This is a competition where you get points based on your ranking. So the higher your ranking in the competition, the more points that you get.
Yeah,
so,
by discipline.
Yes, it's entirely possible to have a weak link and still do really well.
Yes.
Just based on how the rest of the team performs. And, there are only 6 teams. And in the case of things like ice dance, only 6 different competitive teams in that discipline. So even when you're coming out there as an obvious underdog, you just have to do your best and get those points.
But I did see something interesting that I do want to note. Like we were saying, Japan is taking this one seriously. There was an article on Olympics.com with a quote from Kaori Sakamoto, and I'm going to read it just because I really like it. This will be the last time before the Olympics to be in a team competition. We need to simulate the team event for Milano Cortina. It can be a rowdy, fun competition, but when it's time to skate, we need to put on our game faces. And I don't know, just something about that makes me more excited for this event. I love the chaos that comes with this event. I like the hats and the glasses and the silliness. But at the same time, I like that Team Japan is like, yeah, it's go time and we're coming for you.
Well, and I think she also said that America won 3 of the divisions at the World Championships. And I think this whole last season, what we saw over and over again was a really strong Japanese team get beat numerous times. I mean, we make so many jokes about Amber Glenn versus Japan at the Grand Prix final, where she won gold there over 5 Japanese competitors. When we were going into the World Championships in 3 of the disciplines, the Japanese were definitely threatening for those top spots, but the Americans walked away with a very successful World Championships, and Japan did leave with a gold in pairs. But yeah, it really feels like that team has something to prove here, and I do like to see them coming into this with that level of seriousness.
Me too. And as you'd expect, based on that, Team USA is definitely the team to beat here, I think, other than them, because you have Jason Brown, who is team captain, because of course he is. Again, similar to Kaori, no bigger hype man. Ilya Malinin, Amber Glenn, Alyssa Liu, now reigning world champion. Elisa Efimova and Misha Mitrofanov, who I'm so excited get to come to this for the first time, and Madison Chock and Evan Bates. So you have 3 of the world champions on one team.
Yeah, this is a heavy hitter squad, and this is also a really great opportunity for Efimova and Mitrofanov to come out as part of this cohesive team. A lot of them who have competed at these kinds of things together before, and so they get to really be part of Team USA. Ideally, like get some good prize money along with it, and also just good scores for their international rankings. So again, if there is a weaker link in the team, it is probably them, just because they are still on the come up, but they were also 6th at Worlds.
Exactly.
And a lot of those big competitors that they had at Worlds are not here because a lot of those countries
That's true.
can't field entire teams to be a part of this.
Right.
So,
Like we're not going to see Hassan Bullet in here.
yeah, because there is no Team Germany at this event.
So Team Canada, their captain is Piper Gillis. They were bringing Alexa Rakic, Roman Sadovsky, Sarah Maud Dupuis, Maddie Schizis, 2024 world champions Deanna Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps, and Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier.
Yeah, so this is a strong team from Canada, but I think that they definitely suffer in the singles events. When you've got people like Roman Sadovsky and Maddie Schizis, who are both highly competitive skaters, but also highly inconsistent, and they don't usually rank really high up at Worlds. Alexa and Sarah Maud are both solid single skaters. They're just unlikely to place super high.
I know you're excited to see Sarah Maud here.
I love Sarah Maud. And I also think one of my first real exposures to Sarah Maud Dupuis was the last World Team Trophy. That was a really fun event to watch the social stuff for them because she and Madeline Schizis were roommates at that event and became really good friends and have continued to be pals since then. And you just get to see the teams get to be teams and get to be teammates in a way that, again, this sport doesn't usually offer. That part is really awesome. I think it's also worth noting that right now, Stars on Ice Japan has been going on. And so a lot of the Japanese, American, and Canadian skaters have been together traveling and performing. So a lot of them have been in Japan this whole time.
Yes.
So they don't have that travel of getting in there. They've already been hanging out there. And they're going right into a competition after being performers together and essentially a skating troupe for the last few weeks. So I think that's an interesting transition for a lot of those skaters.
So next we have Team France, team captain Kevin Amos. I mean, so good. And then alongside him, you have Adam Shohem-Fa, Lauren Schild, Leah Serna, Kovalev in the pairs discipline, and Lopareva and Brissot in the ice dance.
So the French team is a little unbalanced in a situation like this because you do have several real heavy hitters. I mean, Kevin, Adam, and then Lapareva and Brissot are all very strong skaters / teams that can get big scores, that can do very well in the rankings, and I think will be really exciting here. I think the challenge then is the rest of that squad who are all solid, but typically are not top 10 skaters, but are all fun in their own way. I mean, like, I really like Lauren Schild. I like Lena Serna. I like Kovalev, but they're just not generally as competitive. So in this kind of situation, the expectation on France is a little bit lower because they're going to be really depending on 3 of the 6 to outperform in order to kind of carry the rest of the team.
I am excited in particular to see Adam here. Him coming off of that really fantastic free skate where he did take a small medal at Worlds. I think that boosted his confidence back up. Like, I don't know, there was something even about watching him in that kiss and cry. Adam was back. So I'm curious to see him here. I'm hoping we see great things and it continues to build that momentum for him.
Yeah, and as I understand it, at Worlds, Adam and Kevin got to actually spend more time together than they usually do. So they were actually palling around Boston together, and it just sounded like they had more of a friend adventure than they've really ever had before, which was like really good for them as the marquee guys from France, which is really awesome. It's worth noting that Jeffrey Brissot and Leah Serna are in a relationship, so they're in Japan together at this event.
That's really cute.
Yeah, it was just super cute. So I think that for a team like France, this is more just the party.
I can't wait to see Jinya.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Last time at World Team, by the end, she was in a Pokemon onesie, just dancing around. I
forgot about that. Yeah.
I love Jinya, so I can't wait to see what she's bringing to play.
I saw the ISU did a social video recently where they're asking who are the funniest skaters. And there were some skaters who kind of named themselves or kind of hemmed and hawed on a little bit. But the names that came up over and over again were Kaori Sakamoto, which should be obvious because Kaori is hilarious, and Evgenia Lapareva because she is really entertaining.
So entertaining. Team Georgia, we've mentioned a few times already, just because their team is the most interesting. Team captain is Nika Agatse, which I think is cool for him.
That's super fun. As a young guy, him getting to be the team captain here, I think, is a really nice nod of confidence towards him. I really like seeing that.
I agree. But the other man is Maurizi. Oh my gosh.
I don't know how to say Maurizi's last name. It's funny because we've seen this guy for years.
Years and years.
I just know him as Maurizi. And then I see his last name and I'm like, what? How have we seen him for years and I just can't recall any time even hearing his name? It's just gone out of my head.
He is just Maurizi.
Yeah, Maurizi. He was a very popular skater in his competitive career because he's sort of like a big brother character. He seemed to be kind of a caretaker around a lot of people. He's a very entertaining skater.
He's very fun.
He's notable for gala performances where he does like full makeup as like the genie from Aladdin or all in green face paint for The Mask. He is a show skater, really. And he has been out of competition since, I think, after the last Olympics. So Georgia clearly had some holes to fill to pull him back into the field.
Vitlashvili is how I'm going to say it.
Great. I'm going to go with Maurizi. Yeah. There's also another retired skater coming in here to fill the ranks out for Georgia with Alina Yurstadze. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly either. I'm not even familiar with her. Like, she doesn't stand out in my head at all.
I'm sure we've seen her, and it's just, there are so many people. And I just lose track sometimes, admittedly.
Yeah.
As big of a skating fan, obviously, as I am, I just feel like at a certain point, whenever there's like literally thousands of names running through your head, it's like somebody just blanks. But she's there with Anastasia Gubanova, who I really hope has some redemption here.
Yeah, so I don't think we even talked about it in our world recap, but Gubanova totally fell apart in the short program at Worlds and did not make the free.
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, and she was the only Georgian women's skater there, so they were not able to lock a spot for the Olympics, so she's going to have to do that qualifier event in September. For a skater at her level, that was really challenging to see.
It was gutting.
We've talked a lot about how Goobs is a beautiful skater who sometimes doesn't bring it all together, but that was a level of breakdown that was very surprising. And yeah, I'm hoping that she can use this opportunity to make some repairs on that and feel a little bit better about herself.
I agree. Obviously, in pairs, we're going to see Metelkina and Barilava. They had a really strong world, so I expect good things here, as did Diana Davis and Gleb Smolkin, also had a great World Championships. Similar to the French team, I feel like there's fairly low expectations, especially whenever you're calling up retired skaters in to join you. But that said, especially with Metelkina and Barilava and, Nika Agatse's jumps, I think overall they have a shot, but I don't expect them to be top 3, but you never know.
This is a competition with only 6 pairs teams and 6 ice dance teams.
Yeah.
So it won't necessarily go according to plan at this in the same way that we see at other competitions. There's a lot less competitive teams. So a lot of these groups who normally fall way back are going to sit naturally higher when there's only 6 spots to fill. So yeah.
But similar to what you were talking about with Team Korea last time, where I feel like they came in as unexpected silver medalists, Team Italy, don't sleep on them. I think they are obviously kind of the third place from this group of 6, I think. If you put Japan and the US just vying for the top spot, they could make a move here because this is a strong team.
We've talked before looking ahead to the Olympics and thinking that Italy was starting to shape itself up to be a potential real medal contender at the Olympic team event. For the men, you have Daniel Grassel and then Nikolai Memela, both very competitive guys, both really strong, both did well at Worlds. For the women, you have Laurinaki Gutman and you have Anna Pezzetta. Laurinaki Gutman didn't perform quite as well at Worlds as what we were hoping for, but she's very strong, and Pezzetta is like a star in the making. We saw her at the Junior Worlds, and she was so impressive. She's crazy fast. There's something very aesthetic about her skating that I really enjoy.
Biggest jumps you'll see. Huge jumps.
Yes, they're spectacular. And then you have the pairs bronze medalists from Worlds in Sarakanti and Nicolo Machi, who I think are fair to say are a surging team. That they are, even though they've been on the world podium a couple of times, they just keep looking better. And then, of course, in the ice dance, you have Charlene Guinard and Marco Fabri, who fell just off the podium at Worlds and are definitely going to have something to prove in an event that does not include Fearon Gibson.
Exactly. And Charlene is your team captain, and I feel like she's going to be very similarly to Cowrie, like, hey, we're going to medal here, and maybe let's not just expect bronze. I feel like they're going to be here to prove a point.
leading up to the Olympics and considering how everything shook out at Worlds, I feel like the flavor of this one's going to be a little different. I mean, I'm still hoping that it's going to be fun and silly and extra and a little over the top, because that's what I think defines this event and makes it really worth watching. But yeah, there's more on the line than what it might feel like to the casual observer. And considering people who want to build up those international points, build momentum for this next season, make sure that they're taking advantage of an event where the scoring does impact rankings, and rankings impact things like how the skaters are arranged going into short programs at competitive events, and how placements are picked for the team at the Olympics. Numerically, these things really do matter. And with 6 teams and a limited number of skaters, that's a whole lot of other people in the world who are not getting that opportunity.
Exactly. And also, like you said, with the Olympics now less than a year away, and this being the one of the only opportunities before then that they get to actually just be a team together. Granted, you won't necessarily have this same group as part of an Olympic team, but regardless, it's proving the point for Italy specifically. We are here and you better take it seriously.
Yeah. I'm excited to see everybody again, because I think that, like, for a lot of us, especially after a long skating season,
it was extra long this time.
Yeah. Worlds is like this huge high, and then there's kind of a big come down afterwards. And then there's a moment of being like, oh, okay, I have my weekend to myself a little bit for a couple of weeks. But then you're also like, oh man, now I've got the itch again already. Like, I want some more skating. And what I really like about the World Team Trophy is that it's a lot like Grand Prix events, where it's pretty self-contained. This isn't 86 hours of skating to watch. It's a much tighter competition.
Yes.
And because it has that all-star game feeling, you're not writing into it with nearly as much tension. And for me, who's somebody who I talk about all the time, I love international besties. I love seeing the interaction between skaters. I enjoy them as personalities, and I think that they really get to be personalities here. We've seen, when we look at the people who are on tour or the ones who are interacting with each other, that there are certain skaters that bring out the sillier aspects of each other. When I look at a team like Georgia, in competition, I would think of them as a very serious group. But then if you stop and think, okay, Nika Agazzi does the Deadpool gala. Maritzi is a total show skater who has always done deeply silly stuff. Gubanova always does those women be shopping / high vamping types of gala performances. And then Davis and Smolkin have done galas as chipmunks in full-on mascot costumes.
Wait, you're forgetting that Berilava and Mentolkina do Mortal Kombat.
Oh, right. Yeah. So Georgia as a team is deeply goofier than I think that it's at first blush obvious. So it's entirely possible that that team is going to be real silly.
Yes.
At this event.
But again, team captains, Kaori Sakamoto, Jason Brown, and Kevin Amos. Just those 3, it's like prime for chaos. And that's what I love.
But also prime for chaos is just the podium here, trying to figure out where things are going to go.
Who is just tired? I do kind of wonder that, like, the come down after such an intense season with so much stress and pressure. Are your top skaters coming here like, yeah, I'm still ready to go? Or are they like, my God, I don't have it anymore. I just can't.
I think that the US, Japan, and Canadian teams are kind of extra by nature. They do a pretty good job of hyping each other up. And also, I mean, you look at people like Ilya Malinin. Dude just loves to skate.
He does.
He loves to skate. He loves to perform. He really feeds off of that kind of team energy, and he wants a stage. And this is Japan. They've been touring in Japan for the last few weeks. Japanese audiences are awesome. They're a really exciting skating community. So the energy in that place is going to be really strong. And a lot of the Americans have been touring over there. And so they have built fan bases beyond just regular skating, but also just from live appearances there. So I think that for them and a lot of the Canadians as well, like, this is just an opportunity to be in front of a great audience that loves skating and loves to see awesome performances. So I think there'll be a strong vibe there. what I think is also interesting to see is when you have the skaters who are not normally marquee names, when you're looking at people like a Sarah Maud Dupuis or Elias Serna or somebody like Anna Pizzetta, who has been performing on the senior level, but it's still in the process of breaking out. These are really great opportunities to be among some of the best and to be teammates with the best in a much more limited field where you have an opportunity to shine. And I think for those skaters, this is something that they should really come in eager to put their best performances on the ice.
Well, I don't know that there's more to say at this point, just because I'm just hyped to watch it.
We should just make predictions.
Oh, we're going to predict. Sure. I'm just going to go Team Japan, Team USA, Team Italy. 1, 2, 3.
I am still going with Team America, World Police. There's a dated reference for you.
Oh, boy. And a weird one right now.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I'm going to go USA at the top, Japan in second, but I think it's going to be really tight and really contentious. And, it really does feel like Mortal Kombat between Canada and Italy for that third place. But I think you're right. I think Italy is really poising themselves to take this. But again, it's looking at Team Japan here, where this is a heavy hitter squad, but you do have one junior level team in ice dance, and you have somebody like Shun Sato, who did show up really well at Worlds and exceeded our expectations, but has been kind of an inconsistent skater. My hope for Shun at this event is that we get to see more of what we saw in his free skate at Worlds, where he finally skated up and out, where he finally engaged with the crowd. Hopefully this is a place where he can be on home turf, but not have that World's pressure or that Grand Prix final pressure or whatever it is. And he can just open up and show more personality, because when he finally did it, the American crowd responded so well to him. He just has to do that more consistently.
And I want to see Yuma Kageyama have a gorgeous free skate. After what happened at Worlds, I feel like he needs it. So that's part of the reason why I'm choosing Team Japan, because I feel like Yuma's going to come out here and be like, remember how amazing I am.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, hopefully with some of that pressure off of him. And that's the thing I worry about, though, is that Japan might be putting too much pressure on themselves in a way that could make them overcompete, which could cause some problems. That's a place where we've seen them over the course of the year kind of get into their own heads. What I would really love to see here is a incredibly dominant performance from Amber Glenn, where maybe those programs will just come back together in the way we were seeing earlier in the season. But also, just Alyssa Liu at this event is going to be a vibe.
Oh, she is just going to be a total vibe, and I cannot wait. But yes, I want gorgeous Amber Glenn happy to be in Japan skates, because she is so psyched to be competing in Japan. So it's that exactly. I want big, fantastic, happy smiles from Amber.
Well, that'll wrap us up for this week. I'm just really excited for it. I can't wait to see the silliness, the craziness, and just the camaraderie of this event in general. It always just seems like best vibes. And as Mr. International Bestie fan that I am, there's nothing I like more than seeing all of these skaters interact and have a good time and cheer each other on as well. I can't wait to see what weirdness they get up to in the kiss and cry and beyond, because I think it's going to be a whole thing.
I can't wait to see all the decorations. But yeah, next week we'll come back and talk about all of the silliness and hopefully the greatness that we see at the World Team Trophy.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments who you think the podium is going to turn out to be, if we're on the mark with any of our predictions here. And then, we'll get back to you in the recap. And for Scoreography, I'm Adrian Buskey.
And I'm Wendy Buskey.
And we will talk to you next time.
Bye.